So here we have Ladybug versus Crying for the DPP Revival Tournament. Ladybug was heavily favoured in the Discord chat for this one, with Xing saying that the only way that Ladybug could lose is if they got unlucky or they bought some garbage strategies from 2009. Ladybug obviously being a very old school player from back in the day. So we did that with a Gyarados against Bronzong. Ladybug switches out to a Zapdos, and Gyarados goes for an extremely powerful waterfall here, quite likely to be a choice band set. And Ladybug just wants to play it safe and roost up. The damage there, switches back out to a Bronzong. This Clefable looks quite threatening so far if the main check to it is Bronzong, not a good check, but but there's more going on here. Risks getting a knockoff, but Crying just goes for the seismic toss, while Bronzong Stealth Rocks up. And here comes a much more sustainable Clefable check. Donphan, been very popular in the meta game recently, and I think that's because of the strong matchup into Clefable's got to be one of the reasons. Can obviously threaten powerful earthquakes, knock off itself, or rapid spin. Crying playing quite loose with the Clefable here, willing to stay in, willing to get knocked off, willing to risk getting earthquaked, probably predicting, there we go, so that's what that was about. Didn't want to get Gengar in on a knockoff or something scary like Assurance, or Head Smash which could do heavy damage, so just trying to play around a bit there. Gengar's in, and it goes for the Shadow Ball here. It doesn't go for a Will-O-Wisp or a Focus Blast, which is much more common to see because you just want to try and restrict Tyranitar's opportunities to switch in as much as possible. But then we see the explosion, and that explains the Shadow Ball a little bit there. Obviously it's not a leftover set or a Black Sludge set, so it's clearly a Life Orb set. And it's Shadow Ball Boom, and it has caught Ladybug by surprise there. There was definitely something fishy about that Shadow Ball, and that's what it was. So they both blind switch in, and both go for a fresh Pokemon, something they haven't revealed before, and both gone for something that will handle what was out before. The Starmie will handle the Gyarados, and can threaten Rapid Spin against Clefable, and this Heatran could threaten Bronzong, Zapdos, and Donphan, but unfortunately cannot threaten this Starmie, so risks getting Rapid Spin here, risks a few things, and Starmie goes through Rapid Spin. It is up against the Clefable, who can set those rocks straight back up again, and that may well be what Ladybug was predicting, going into this Abomasnow, because you don't really want to get Abomasnow knocked off. You don't want to get it worn down, particularly with its Stealth Rock weakness. But switching in on the Seismitoss, we're probably quite happy about too, and we'll have to see how Crying plays around with this, because it is a Swords Dance Abomasnow, a set which I know Ladybug used in SPL, so probably quite likes. Obviously it's switching into Clefable, so it'd quite like to be a physical set with some powerful Wood Hammers, and now Crying has got some predicting to do. That Heatran does not want to switch into an Earthquake, and that Gyarados probably doesn't want to switch into Stealth Rocks and a Wood Hammer. Does go to the Gyarados and predicts the Earthquake quite nicely there. Obviously got extra odds with the Paralysis as well to help get the prediction right. And Gyarados goes for a very powerful Stone Edge here. Yeah, I think this is a Choice Band set. Although the Hail reveals that the Zapdos is actually faster, so this could actually be a speedy Zapdos with no defense investment and a Dragon Dance Gyarados, and that might be why the Zapdos has gone for a Discharge here. And not gone for the safe play of a Roost. Obviously roosting on CB would have been quite safe there, but instead goes for the Discharge on the switch and does nicely get the Paralysis. Threatens to KO the Heatran after Hail, but doesn't want to stay in and lose the Zapdos. So it switches out to Bronzong, probably planning to sacrifice it. or possibly predicting an explosion. I suppose if the Zapdos roosted up, could get exploded on. But the Bronzong is paralysed. Sorry, the Heatran's paralysed, so we're not going to find out what Crying went for. This Bronzong can now threaten it with EQ, which it does have, and it does go for. But Clefable's switched in here. Now I can sit on Bronzong all day, gets the Stealth back up, and is back against this Donphan. Don't know what Crying wants to do about this Donphan though, because yeah, it doesn't really want to keep switching Gyarados in to Stealth Rocks and getting worn down. Decides to stay in on this Donphan and just Seismic Toss it. Obviously it is difficult to wear down, and this is a way of doing it, and then goes for Stealth Rocks at the end there, so sacrificing this Clefable, which would be quite useful against the Zapdos and the Starmie. Also with double Rapid Spinners, you know, Ladybug could spin those Stealth Rocks and get that Zapdos back in. And Starmie threatens the 2 Pokemon at the moment. But Breloom comes out here, and that is something that can threaten Ladybug's entire team. And that's what Ladybug thinks forced to make a risky prediction here. Switches Abomasnow in on the Spore. I suppose would have been quite happy with Seed Bomb as well. So it worked out quite well for Ladybug. Although it is going to die to a superpower most likely, or something else. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen this Breloom come out earlier. Would have had some opportunities on the Donphan, but probably didn't want to risk getting knocked off, and some opportunities on the Bronzong as well. Yeah, big threat to Ladybug's team actually, this Breloom. With only the Zapdos to properly check it, and that is obviously weak to Stealth Rocks and almost dead. So Ladybug probably going for the Ice Shard there, gets paralysed, which is unfortunate, because this Breloom's now going to get a substitute up. This is probably a max attack Abomasnow, and can do 50 to 60% to a Breloom with Ice Shard, so depending on the damage roll, this Breloom could have died to hail damage here, so that's a bit of a risky substitute. I guess it's the only move that lets Breloom focus punch on the second turn, so that's what they go for. Get the KO, and Crying is in quite a good spot here. This Breloom is going to cause a bit of a big threat to Ladybug's team. It's like it's only got Zapdos to deal with it. Now this Starmie could be a set with Psychic or Ice Beam to threaten it. I wonder if Crying's going to play around that. It doesn't play around it, says it, and it's the Blizzard. So this is actually a Hail team from Ladybug. Ladybug was obviously famous for Hail teams back in the day. And I can't help feeling that is probably a bit of a mistake from Crying to stay in there. Maybe they didn't feel like they had many more options. The Scarf Flygon comes out. It's not going to be quite as strong against the Bronzong and the Zapdos. U-turns out into a Heatran. And we see the Starmie come back in. Most likely going to Surf. Does Surf again. Gets the crit, which is a bit unfortunate for Crying, as that's the end of Flygon. But I think Ladybug may well have had this one wrapped up by this point. And that Rapid Spin there guarantees the Zapdos can come back in, and Discharge is going to finish everything off. So that is going to be the end of Game 1. Yeah, so a bit unfortunate at the end there with the critical hit with the Surf, but I do feel like Crying played a bit too aggressively with that Clefable. That would have been so useful in this end game. And obviously the Breloom could have done huge damage to Ladybug's team, but ended up killing a paralysed Abomasnow, and then dying immediately afterwards. So yeah, it was unfortunate not to be able to get much more value out of it there. And that brings us on to Game 2. So Crying leads out with the Jirachee, up against Ladybug. Crying goes for the trick there, always risky against Jirachee, because your opponent might also be using a Choice Scarf Jirachee, and that's what happens. Tricks the Choice Scarf, and yeah, it doesn't achieve anything. It's now locked in Trick. Ladybug's got the Stealth Rocks up and is in a huge advantage here. But Crying does get the advantage on the blind switch here. Swampert against T-Tail. This could be its Stealth Rock user, could be a good opportunity for Crying to Stealth Rock. But decides to go for the Earthquake. It is quite common for Tyranta to stay in that scenario. Go for a big crunch and get some nice chip damage down that Swampert, because Stealth Rock is probably quite likely there. So I think Crying was trying to catch Ladybug out with an Earthquake, and out comes Zapdos, which yeah, threatening a HP Grass here, or a Toxic, but Ladybug doesn't go for it, goes for the U-turn. Might not have HP Grass, might have just been threatening it, and correctly predicts that Crying isn't going to risk it, and goes for the U-turn. Back out to Jirachee. So we've got Jirachee and Jirachee Wars again, and they're just going to U-turn on each other. Ladybug has the slower Jirachee here, so gets a nice advantage from that. Slow, bulky Jirachees have been coming popular by the looks of things in the lead better game, so slow, bulky Choice Scarf sets. And we've got this Swampert up against this Zapdos again, so we've got some more HP Grass prediction wars. Again, Ladybug may not even have HP Grass, might just know that Crying was scared of it first time around, going to be scared of it again, and they can just keep threatening it. So yeah, Crying does switch out here into the HP Grass, which could still be HP Ice, and it could be a blinding prediction from Ladybug, predicting Crying to switch out, going for the hidden power anyway, predicting this Jirachee, predicting it to be resisted, and that would be a major bluff, but I suspect this is HP Grass here, as Ladybug is very keen to get it in against the Swampert. But nice prediction from Crying. Goes back into Swampert, knowing there's not going to be another HP Grass, hoping probably for, well, probably predicting the U-turn there. But now we've got Starmie in, probably a bold Starmie, or at least have some defensive ease here to be confident staying in against Swampert. We say take that Earthquake quite comfortably. We don't know what set this Swampert is yet, but yeah, Ladybug's obviously got some bulk to be happy to stay in. And yeah, just standard Swampert versus Starmie stuff here. Swampert's going for Earthquakes, Starmie's going for Recovers. And at this point, you know, the Swampert's really just hoping for a critical hit here. And it's going to get plenty of opportunities to fish for crits while this Starmie heals up. I wonder what HP level Ladybug is going to go for, and 31% is the level that Ladybug is comfortable getting to, so risked a couple of critical hits there just to gain an extra 10% HP, and then decided, okay, that's enough risk for me, gonna leave it there. Now, Jirachee's in, Choice Scarf Jirachee, U-turn's probably going to KO, and Ladybug doesn't want that to happen, so switches out to the Jirachee, and gets trapped by Magnezone. And that might be why Crying was so happy to trick turn 1, so get this Magnezone in. Although again, yeah, U-turn into Magnezone turn 1 might have worked out quite nicely as well. But yeah, this Jirachee's got U-turn, so not really trapped, U-turned away into a Tyranitar. And yeah, Ladybug here looking like they've got the standard Zap Me team, so normally you'd expect to see a Breloom here and something else. Could be a second Steel, Scarf Heatran being very popular. And an excellent prediction from Crying here, sending Gengar into Tyranitar. Turns out Gengar was the Tyranitar counter all along. But yeah, Tyranitar loves to spam Superpower, particularly the Choice Band sets. So yeah, very nice from Crying there, knowing they could get Gengar in reasonably safely. And predicts T-Tail switch out, so predicts it to be choiced. It's very likely to be choiced on these sorts of teams. Goes for the Shadow Ball. Gets that Jirachee down nicely. And a special defense drop that probably isn't going to matter this game. Does stay in, risks the Iron Head, doesn't flinch, gets the Focus Blast. and unfortunately dies to its own life orb recall. But Ladybug has choice, Lucario here, but this is, like to be Choice Scarf Lucario. This is another common way of running the team, with Choice Scarf Lucario in the back. And I think Ladybug ran this team in SPL as well. So, Crying has to watch out for a Choice Scarf Ice Punch. But predicts that Ladybug is going to expect them to switch out. Obviously, this Magnezone is a huge threat for Scarf Ice Punch. And Crying just calls Ladybug out, goes for the Outrage, gets a lovely KO on the Zapdos there. And that is not a Breloom. This is exactly what Xing was talking about in their predictions, with some wacky mons often expected from Ladybug, always been an innovator. And this Glade looks like could do some serious damage here from what we've seen so far from Crying's team. We see a Kingdra in the back, obviously pairs well with that Magnezone. Crying spent quite a bit of time to decide on this, or over around 2 or 3 minutes to decide to bring this Kingdra out. It's going to take a hefty chunk from close combat, which it does. Does go for the Dragon Dance here. It's going to need another Dragon Dance to outspeed Scarf Lucario. Ladybug may just want to stay in here and guarantee that KO. But no, Ladybug's got Shadow Sneak, another sort of blast from the past. Haven't seen Shadow Sneak Glade be very popular in a long time. Jirachee comes in with some hopes of flinching his way to victory, but Scarf Lucario is immune to flinching, and is actually faster in this scenario. Quite common to be jolly, and like I say, it's quite common for those lead Jirachees to run quite a bit of bulk these days. So it's going to outspeed the Magnezone too. Crying goes for the Endure, so probably an Endure Custap Berry set, which it is, and goes for the Explosion, knowing they can't win, just to finish it off with a bit of pizzazz. So that was that, a nice 2-0 victory from Ladybug, well predicted by everyone in the Discord who got that right, and well predicted as well by Xing.